Ludovic Geilich stole the show at the EPT London main event in 2013. Sick bluffs, crazy folds, the Scottish/German player did it all. Great laid down by Ludovic Geilich.
On the flop, I thought he was going to pass, and I said to myself, he'd done something, and he called, and I went, I think he's flopped it.
Enjoy his incredibly aggressive play in this compilation. Ludovic Geilich has King 3 off.
Well, this would be a weird hand to raise, but then again, Ludo's sporting a German flag and a Scottish accent, if that explains anything.
Ludo is raising, makes it 16,000. Javier Ateo with 9-10 suited.
This would be an absolutely fine call from the cutoff.
Heads up to the flop. Jack 6-3 on the flop. Bottom pair for Geilich.
My guess is he's probably not going to just slow down for the showdown.
Bet 24,000.
He continues for 24,000.
I wouldn't mind a float from Ateo. He's got 3 to a straight, 3 to a flush, and it's a dry board, so sometimes you can pick up the pot when your opponent slows down.
He calls the 24K. We go to the turn, which is the 9 of spades. Ateo now with second pair.
Check.
Geilich slows down. He checks. Ateo electing to take over the betting. Makes it 44,000. Geilich with just bottom pair.
Well, he's getting sticky. Looks like Ludovic Geilich might know karate and crazy.
Raise.
He check raises to 118,000.
Don't know what he's repping, and I think this check raise doesn't make a ton of sense. It's pretty much only going to get air to fold.
Ateo, 88% favorite with one card to come.
And with slightly better than air.
He calls. 335,000 in the middle. The river card is the ace of spades. Brings a potential flush. It's also another overcard to Ateo's pair.
Ludo must absolutely keep betting on this card of all cards. However, I think with the way he's played it, he can't have a ton of flush draws or ace highs in his range. This bet's gonna have to be super ratchet.
Roughly 2/3 of the pot, 217,000.
Bomb, ba bomb, bomb, bomb. I'm supposed to say if you call turn, you have to call river, but honestly, that's way more easily said than done.
Hit the flush, eh?
It is conceivable that Geilich would have check raised the turn with a flush draw. And Ateo folds the best hand.
Javier, it's okay. You got Geilicht.
It's Ludo Geilich's big blind. He's got ace deuce.
I gotta tell you, I don't mind a call here, but I think a 3-bet is probably lower variance overall. What am I talking about? There's only one option here if you're Ludovic Geilich.
He does re-raise. The 3-bet is to 46,000.
Easy call for Paricha.
Flats in position. Heads up to the flop. Look at that stare down. Borderline sexy.
I was gonna say borderline sexy.
Jack 7-5 on the flop. Both players miss. Geilich, the pre-flop aggressor, continues for 48,000.
In general, I think this is an easy peel for ace-10, but if you know the other guy will literally never give up, you might want to fold the flop. It's very close. From what I understand of Geilich, he gives up less often than Winston Churchill.
Paricha calls, so we go to the turn with 200,000 in the pot. 7 of clubs pairing the board.
See if Geilich's foot is still planted firmly on the gas. Yep.
A second barrel of 82,000.
Oh, maybe a facial tell to watch out for, maybe just more flirting. You know, I'm sitting here trying to justify why Tudor should keep calling here, all the while forgetting he has the best hand. Ludo's almost got me convinced, and I can see the whole cards.
Paricha calls again. We go to the river.
Nice call.
Which is the queen of clubs, which means they're now chopping.
If Geilich manages to find a way to fire again, I think this becomes a pretty easy fold for Paricha on the river. What am I talking about? Of course he's gonna fire again.
Here comes the third barrel. He's emptying the clip. 294,000.
We know he's a maniac, but we have the benefit of looking at his hole cards. These guys may not be keen yet. Playing against guys like Ludo is super tough because you pretty much have to make a hand, even if it is the year of Romania.
Tudor staring at the board.
This is such a tough call to make.
And he folds, the bluff gets through.
Tutor, don't freak out, but you also just got Geilicht.
Action has been folded around to Ludo. He's on the button, and he's got king 6 of clubs.
Well, obviously he's raising, but in his defense, he is on the button.
The raise is to 24,000. Ingvar Sten in the small blind has ace-jack, and he's reasonably short-stacked.
I would say how many big blinds he has, but at 6-12, nobody really knows.
All right.
He shoves. It's back on Ludo.
Well, this is a fold.
206. 206.
Ludo, you can't bluff a guy who's all in. No math required. Easiest fold ever against any sane range.
In bad shape here. Strangely enough.
Guess we can go ahead and classify Ludo as more of a feel player.
Oh, wow, he's called!
As Ingvar Sten bites his lip, I'd like to read a statement from the Poker Police. This is atrocious and cannot be considered good in any way.
He does have 2 live cards, but ace-high is still good on the flop.
I think he may try to bluff him off this flop.
Oh, king on the turn! Sten needs an ace or a 10 on the river to survive. No help. That one has got to hurt.
Look at that.
Did you hear that? He said, I got Geilicht.
6-7 off for Geilich. He raises from the cutoff. Queens for a Teo on the button.
No need to get tricky here. He can kick it on down to Valueville right here before the flop. That means re-raise, also known as a 3-bet.
And there it is, 60,000. Both blinds fold. Action back on Ludo. And he's calling. Not afraid of playing a flop out of position.
This is why you need to 3-bet the guy when you have ace-queen.
The flop is 7-5-4. Top pair and a straight draw for Ludo. Ateo still ahead with his overpair. Geilich checks. And Ateo checks behind.
I think that was a great flop to bet and call it off if you get bluff raised.
And there is the straight for Ludovic Geilich. He takes over the betting, 89,000.
I guess Ateo wanted to play a smaller pot in position against a super loose player, and the good thing he did. He may have missed value in the long run, but in the short run, it might have saved him.
He calls. We go to the river, which is the ace of diamonds. Big scare card for Ateo. 330,000 in the middle. And Geilich is betting big for value, 299,000.
This is a big bet, but we've seen Ludo do this before with bluffs also. Yeah, that's a bad card for Ateo, but with a rep like Ludo's and a hand that's under-repped, this is not an easy fold. It's crazy Ludo, and Ateo's range is super weak, so often this is gonna be a bluff. Frustrating. Ludo's the kind of guy you need to make a hand against. Ateo has a hand, and he still can't call.
He folds. Ship the chips to Geilich. Ludo facing a raise here from Georgios Karakoussis. Ludo's got queens, Karakoussis has aces.
This could get uglier than Ludo's local when the lights come on.
Karakoussis has made it 24K. Ludo just calls. Heads up to the flop. And he flops top set.
Talk about running good. That terrible flop is absolutely great for Ludo.
Karakoussis continues for 20,000.
I think peeling here is actually fine. Sometimes your opponent gives up after the flop bet.
Ludo calls.
Weird to see him just call twice. It's like I don't even know him anymore.
5 of hearts on the turn. Geilich picks up a flush draw.
Second nut flush draw, which means he can probably call another bet here on the turn.
And he's facing another bet of 55,000.
And that bet ain't huge, so you could certainly see him calling again.
Throws in 3 chips, and we're going to the river. Which is the 4 of hearts. Ludo gets there. What a suck out.
Oh man, this guy truly is impossible to play against.
Karakusis bets a third time 75,000 and faces a big raise from Ludo to 275k.
Karakusis' bet sizing was a little off this hand, and he probably should have checked the river with the intent of folding. He's got 3 aces, so it's more likely his opponent has got some other kind of hand to make it this far, like a pair and a flush draw. The best way to get value out of aces would have been to check and maybe call. Now this is a must fold. Everybody hates folding aces.
Karakusis gives it up.
Especially a set of aces. Geilicht again!
Action on Ludovic Geilich under the gun +1.
There's a reason why Ludovic and Geilich both rhyme with sick.
Raising with 6-3 offsuit. Ace-Jack for Shavik.
This is a fine spot to call, or you can 3-bet the live wire. Either way. You know, before I said Jan Shavik looked like an off-duty chef, but now I'm thinking it's more like a ninja that suddenly lost a lot of weight.
You should probably stop thinking.
Hasn't had time to replace the wardrobe yet.
He calls. King-Queen suited for Leo McLean in the big blind.
This is more of a flat call spot for Leo, even though a 3-bet is tempting with a hand as sexy as Queen suited.
Cool.
He does call. King 10-10. McLean with the best hand. Shavik with a draw. Geilich with a total bagolino.
Check.
Action check to the aggressor.
Playing in flow. This is a pretty bad spot to bet. It's a very connected board, and he's going to have almost no equity when he gets called.
Ludo continuing for 31,000.
Also, a guy like Ludo is going to get floated a lot.
Call.
Shavik is in with his gut shot.
And it looks like Ludo is going to get looked up by 100% of his opponents.
Sure enough, McLean calls as well. 3-way to the turn. And that card is the ace of spades, meaning Shavik is now in the lead.
I mean, and Geilich is officially drawing dead, or as his people would say, deed.
Check.
Shavik checks.
Leo can't bet.
He checks as well.
But we know Ludo can. Ludo wants to win every single pot, so he's going to bet here. It will work sometimes, but a lot of the time you're just going to get called down.
With 0% equity, he bets 98,000.
And this only works if your opponents are terrified of you, and I don't know how they could be, except for I just remembered they haven't been seeing his hole cards. Surely Shavik's going to call a top pair, and draws to a boat and the nut straight.
He folds!
Wow. Now it's just up to Leo. Now, we have the benefit of knowing all the cheese Geilich's been playing, but I don't think these guys are aware of it yet. Leo may think he's drawing nearly dead already.
There's also that fear if he does call here that he might be facing an even bigger bet on the river. McLean folds! Wow! You gotta love watching this guy play. The bluff gets through. He gets 2 better hands to fold. Action's on Ludo. Pocket 8s under the gun.
He is aggro Ludo, but a raise here is just fine.
The former dealer makes it 32,000. Martin Kozlov has locked up his first ever cash outside of Australia here in London. Everyone else has folded. Geilich calls the 3-bet. He'll have to play the flop out of position. But he's still ahead. He checks to the man with the pre-flop betting lead.
It's a pretty sweet flop for eights. Pretty annoying flop for ace-jack, and pretty annoying you've now got a c-bet a board where Ludo's probably going to laugh in your face.
Kozlov continues for 82,000.
Like that terrible thin crust European pizza, he ain't folding.
Geilich calls. The turn card is the 6 of hearts pairing the board. Geilich checks a second time.
Now, the continuation bet I understood, but a bet here is going to make the pot huge.
He barrels for 164k.
And I don't think you can get your opponent to fold reliably with this bet. Almost any hand that crushed a flop is going to continue calling.
Geilich calls again.
His hand isn't a monster, but it's beating plenty of hands Kozlov would double barrel with, including the one he's got.
7 of clubs on the river. So there's now a potential flush and a potential straight out there. Geilich's checked a third time.
This board just got real stupid for a pre-flop 3-better who's been trying to rep an overpair.
And Kozlov empties the clip. He bets 380,000.
Most overpairs wouldn't bet this river because it's such a dicey river.
And Geilich heroes with 8s.
Snapped off that bluff like it was Joe Theismann's leg. Don't Google it.
Geilich adds 732k to his stack.
I was thinking to myself, it's the worst river for him to bluff, and he still bet. That's what I'm thinking to myself now.
He's right there.
Then he's definitely checking back a big pair in the river.
Back to the main feature table. Leo McLean's folded under the gun. Actions on Ludovic Geilich. King 7 of hearts. Obviously, he's going to raise.
He ain't limping in.
48,000. Pocket queens for Cully Sadu.
Perfect.
Yellow chips are 25,000 each. Blues are 5,000.
So this is a 3-bet.
A re-raise to 130,000 from the cutoff.
It's a big 3-bet, but this is what I would do with a big hand against a guy who clowns around more often than a circus.
Geilich re-raises. He 4-bets to 278,000.
Doot, 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 doot. Sadu's got position, so he could just call.
Cool.
He is calling. 610,000 in the middle as these two go heads up to the flop. 9-8-4. Geilich has a couple of backdoor draws, but right now he's just playing king high. And he continues for 262k.
It's a safe board for queens, but it's hard to get action on a raise if Ludo's missed completely, which he has.
Sadu calls. More than $1 million in the pot now. 3 of hearts on the turn. Geilich picks up the second nut flush draw.
Which means he's probably going to slow down less often here than 2 teenagers in a parked car.
He bets enough to put Sadu all in.
That's a big bet, but most folks aren't going to bet so big here with a monster. Once you play queens like this, I don't think you can fold. If you're not trying to trap by calling twice with queens, you should be trying to get it in pre-flop.
You gonna show?
Is he seriously thinking of laying this down?
Those are the words of a man who wants to fold.
All right.
Blumenecky's folded!
I know it was for his tournament life, but what the bloomin' heck, come on.
Big later. Queens?
Now let's play against Ludovic Geilich as we sweat with David Yan in the small blind. Ace 10, facing a raise to 48,000.
A 3-bet's fine because we're out of position, but we need to proceed with caution against an early raiser, even if it is a guy who's liver than the nightly news.
A 3-bet to 133k gets rid of Karakusis in the big blind. Geilich calls the 3-bet in position.
If he's not 4-betting, I'm actually a little scared he might have something decent.
Ace 7-4, top pair for Yan.
Great flop to check, not much for us to be afraid of.
He does check, and Geilich checks behind.
Him checking behind kind of weirds me out a little bit.
9 of clubs on the turn. Yan checks a second time.
A lot of folks will bet there, but checking's fine too if we think Ludo's range is very weak and we can check call 2 streets.
Geilich bets 118,000.
We're rarely behind here, and his range is in fact awfully weak. So I vote for a call.
And that's what David Yan does.
We've only seen him try to barrel people offhand, so I think check calling all the way is the way to go.
Ace of clubs on the river puts a potential straight out there.
It's kind of a gross card for us, but I say stick to the plan.
Yan checks a third time. And Ludo bets again. 364,000.
Well, that's kind of a bomb. I really hate this river card, but still, I don't think we can fold. He's just messing around way too much.
Cool.
Yan calls, and Ludo tables pocket aces.
Ay-ya! Case ace on the flop. I knew he should have been worried when he wasn't going all aggro. Stupid, stupid, stupid.
Ace king for Ludovic Geilich.
When you're the most aggressive guy at the table, you should really be 3-betting this, but against a guy with a perceived tight image and almost as many chips as you, just calling is fine too.
Geilich does just call in position. Kuli Sadu's off on another wander. Kozlov calls as well with 8-7 in the big blind. 3-way to the flop, which is all diamonds, jack high.
2.
Everyone's got a diamond. 2 of them are big, but only one of those people is a Geilich.
Action's been checked to Ludo. He bets 98,000, gets a fold from Kozlov.
Karakusis not folding.
He calls with the nut flush draw. Brick on the turn. Karakusis checks a second time. Ludo bets again. Once again, Karakusis calls.
Karakusis is playing it perfectly, which, to be fair, is mostly to Ludo's credit.
It's a diamond on the river. That's the nuts for Karakusis and the second nuts for Ludo. Action's been checked to Geilich again.
Sweet check by Karakusis. Ludo gonna do what Ludo do.
He bets the better part of $500,000.
Karakusis just making sure there's no straight flush out there.
All in.
He shoves. He check raises all in.
I love Karakusis' line till that moment. I think a smaller raise gets paid, a shove probably never.
Tough to fold the second nuts. He does fold.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice one.
Great lay down by Ludovic Geilich.
On the flop, I thought he was going to pass, and I said to myself, he done something, and he called, and I went, I think he's flopped it. I went to myself, but I'm not sure.
Karakusis with a monster. Blinds up to 2040. He raises to 80,000 with aces, and Geilich's got queens. He 3-bets, makes it 170,000.
I'd say there was more of an argument to flat here with queens than before with ace-king, but whatevs, this should be awesome.
Action back on Karakusis.
I'd 4-bet this if I were him. No one ever seems to believe this guy.
He does. It's a re-raise to 380,000. Geilich just calls in position.
Now he flats.
It's a low flop.
Sweet flop for Karakusis because Geilich's not getting away from an 8-high board. Not now, not never.
He continues for 300,000.
Doing a great job of just barreling away.
Geilich calls. Ace of diamonds on the turn. Top set now for Karakusis. Geilich officially drawing dead.
For Geilich, that should make a bet here pretty much a slam dunk fold.
Karakusis bets 450,000.
What hands would Karakusis just keep barreling away with that queens are beating? Air's the only hand that makes sense, and Ludo needs to realize he ain't playing against himself.
Geilich calls. There's 2.4 million in the middle. And the river card is a queen!
That is the fat lady, and she is warming up her vocal cords.
Karakusis slows down, he checks.
Poor Ludo, this is an easy value bet like you read about.
He bets 750,000.
Karakusis hates the spade. After a side like that, Ludo's gonna think he's winning.
Call. Call.
He calls and shows the aces.
I think Ludo probably should have folded the turn, but I in no way think he deserved that river. Gross.
Ludovic Geilich in the small blind. Looks down at Queen 4 of diamonds.
He's got around 14 bigs, so shoving here would be what the kids call unexploitable. It's plus EV in the long run, and there is no counterattack.
He does move all in. Stefan Wagner in the big blind has a ton of chips.
And he hasn't looked yet? Come on, bruh.
King of clubs. Queen of clubs.
To all cyborgs and keyboard warriors, this is a snap decision. To human beings potentially winning life-changing money, it's gonna take a second.
Okay, I call.
He calls, putting Geilich at risk. And Geilich's dominated.
I'm in bad shape.
And he's not just talking about all the deep-fried food in Scotland.
Geilich looking for diamonds, or a 4. And there's a 4!
It's a 4?
Ludo set for a double up.
Told you it was unexploitable.
He has to fade kings, queens, and 7s on the river. And he does.
Guy's been such a huge character this week. I would have been bummed to lose him so soon. And then there's the Slovakian rail.
Janilov Sharvik's under the gun with a 10 big blind stack. Pocket 7s.
He managed to ladder up one spot, but now it's time to do the man dance.
I'm all in.
He shoves.
Or woman. I don't want to get letters.
Ludovic Geilicht's got pocket nines.
The Balrog may have met his Gandalf.
A re-raise or a just call?
No matter what happens, I don't think he's ever folding.
Ludo's counted out 595,000. He calls. Wagner's out. Ulatalo with ace-10 suited. Passes.
Easy decision.
Ace-jack suited for our qualifier pick. And he folds.
Less easy, still pretty easy.
So everyone else out the way. Sharvik at risk and a huge underdog.
Well, that's getting replaced next year.
9 on the flop.
Wow, the Balrog has all but tumbled into the lava pit.
Drawing dead on the turn.
You shall not pass. This is bigger for Scotland than the Loch Ness Monster.
I'm all in.
Ludo shoves.
Cool.
And Ulatalo calls.
Not now, guys.
I'm in bad shape.
And at risk.
I get ace queen.
Some are yelling ace, some are yelling 8.
There's an 8 and an ace.
The poker gods answered all prayers.
Geilich with 2 outs, with 2 cards to come. Needs to hit on the river. We lose Ludovic Geilich in 4th place. He cashes for nearly 200K.
Boy, Ludo is fun to watch. Hope we see him again soon.